Cuadros' Corner is a podcast whose purpose is to bring connection within the local community of the Rio Grande Valley, a digital networking landscape to meet people through their stories of passion, business, desires, triumphs, and obstacles. Check out the podcast description to connect with guests through their links, and thank you for listening to Cuadros' Corner. Don't forget to subscribe, share, and comment. Dallas, tell me a little bit about what made you want to start going into law. I know that you studied psychology. Mm-hmm. Can you walk us through what was it that made you go that route? What was it that interested you in psychology and then going into law?
Well, the transition from psychology to law was a little vain. It was more of me wanting to make money. But to be honest with you, I've wanted to be an attorney since I was 7 years old. Mm-hmm. I remember being in class and thinking like, oh, what would I need to do to be president? And I was thinking, well, if I wanted to be president, I probably need some way to get there to be a judge. And I was like, I probably should be an attorney. And I was like, I don't even think I want to be a judge or president. I think I want to be an attorney. Yeah. So from that day, I'd always tell people, I'm going to be an attorney. And I tell my dad, and everybody like, oh yeah, that's good. But nobody in my family graduated from college. My dad's a truck driver. So they'd just be like, oh, okay, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. And then so from there, I went to college and I got a degree in psychology, and I enjoyed it. I really do enjoy psychology, mm-hmm. but I just didn't think it was going to make me the kind of money I wanted to make one day, mm-hmm. and be able to help me as much as I'd want to help people.
Right.
And so then that's why I continue with going to law school. I went to law school in Houston, and that's how I became an attorney.
So you're saying that you're the first of your family to go to college and actually get a degree?
Yes. My dad didn't go. My mom didn't go. During the time, I think when one of my uncles went, and now my younger brother, he graduated mm-hmm. from college, and I have another sibling. Well, I have multiple siblings that have gone through mm-hmm. college and still trying to figure out what it is they want to do.
Wow. And I know that you met your wife during one of those college years. How did that happen? How did you see her in the first place, and did you go up to her or walk us through that experience?
So, she'll tell you that I had spotted her and I was the one trying to talk to her, but I'll let her tell this. I knew she liked me, so and that's because.
But how did you know?
You just know. You just know. But even funnier, to paint a picture, I don't think I really had much of a beard, and I had a man bun, so long hair, man bun, braided sometimes, would dye it different colors. And so I thought, man, maybe she's gonna think I look kind of weird, but no, I would talk to her like when we passed each other in the hallway because we didn't have any classes together. Oh. And it was in law school, so mind you, we were 23, 24. And I would say like, oh, hey, what's your name again? Even though she had never told me her name.
Yeah.
And she'd be like, oh, my name's Alexis. And then I would see her and I would just try to make small conversations.
Nice.
And then what happened is one day her best friend liked a very old picture on my Facebook. And her best friend did. She did it from her profile. So my wife, I thought it was my wife liking my picture. So I messaged her and I'm like, oh, so you're just liking like my old pictures? And she's like, you're way too full of yourself. Like, she was like, it was an accident. My friend did it. Nice. And I was like, sure. And she didn't want to talk to me. I think she thought I was kind of like egotistical or something.
Right. You're just confident.
And I kept talking to her.
Yeah.
We actually dated for a little while, and then we broke up, and we became best friends, mm-hmm. and then we started dating again.
Wow. Yeah. So y'all dated for a little bit or a while?
3 days. We dated for 3 days. And I like to tell this, I thought she was crazy.
Yeah.
Because we had a whole disagreement on, she wanted me to make her Facebook official, and I was just like, I don't use Facebook. Why is that a whole thing? And she's like, no. And I was like, you know what? This is too much. I'm not ready for this commitment.
Yeah.
But then I got to know her, and sweetest person you'll ever meet.
So you think becoming best friends helped that relationship?
Definitely. If we hadn't become best friends, we wouldn't be married today.
Wow.
I would like to quickly interrupt to talk to you about our sponsor, Backdoor Modern Vintage. It's a creative hub which features different backgrounds for photography, video, or podcasting. Located at 907 West Business 83, Weslaco, Texas, you can also find a variety of props for your projects and an assortment of wardrobe to rent or buy as well. Backdoor Modern Vintage, located at 907 West Business 83, Weslaco, Texas. You can make an appointment by texting or calling 956-619-3830. Backdoor Modern Vintage.
And I like my dog is the reason for that too, because I got her a dog a few months into our relationship.
Really?
And it was like having a baby. I mean, she didn't want to teach her how to be potty trained or anything, so I'd go over and help the dog, help Dulce, that's her name, Dulce, use the restroom, clean her, take her places. And so it just really strengthened our relationships here.
And I told you this before the camera was on, but I would like to say congratulations on actually having, a daughter now. What's her name?
My daughter's name is Ayla. She's 18 months old.
Ayla. So congratulations to both
Thank
of
you.
y'all.
Thank you.
That's huge.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. I was just saying this earlier too. Being a stay-at-home mom is way more work than being a lawyer.
Yeah.
It's because even when she asked me to watch my daughter for like a day, if she's gonna go somewhere, she comes back and I'm like, "What took you so long? Where were you at? I'm tired."
Yeah.
She's like, "Really? You're tired?" And I'm like, "Yeah."
What would you tell yourself now that you've experienced having a daughter, to your younger self? Like any tips on fatherhood, on just taking care of her, like everyday type of things? What advice would you tell yourself looking back as like, hey, you better prepare for this or that?
Honestly, I don't even think there's preparation you could do, like legit preparation you can do. You're gonna get tired, you're gonna be upset, you're not gonna be able to think straight. Just know that the days that you can think about it and the days that she smiles at you, it'll be worth it. All those hard times you'll get through. But there's very little you can do. I mean, you're going to be tired. You're going to be hungry. You're going to be upset with your partner, but it'll all be okay.
Nice. Yeah, there seems to always be that rough patch in the beginning when the baby is born, because I don't know if your baby is the type of baby that wakes up really early. So I'm sure it was difficult.
When she was a baby, she would just be a normal baby. I mean, she'd wake up every few hours. And I think that really led to us trying to figure out a good schedule for us. Sometimes she would wake up, sometimes I would wake up. I'd try to go home a little earlier, or she would just get out, just drive the baby around, come to the office. Me and her family are very close, and so she was always welcome at the office. She's always can pop in, say hi. So if I'm talking to somebody, my daughter's liable to just run through the door.
Nice.
And it's funny because it's a murder and we're talking something very serious, and then this little girl walks up and she's just listening on the conversation too. And I'm like, don't worry, she's heard it all already.
Speaking of your job as a lawyer, and you're specifically a criminal lawyer and a personal injury lawyer, correct?
Well, I guess that's what I do more than anything. But I try to learn and be well-rounded about multiple things, family law, civil law, but I primarily like to do criminal law, and I do personal injuries.
So that's like what your bread and butter, in other words.
Yes, it's actually what I enjoy more than anything. I mean, I've had people in my own life who've gone to prison. I've been in situations where I feel like the right thing wasn't done, or if they had a better attorney, things might have turned out differently.
Oh, okay.
So that's why I like it.
When you were studying for becoming a lawyer, was there anything that prepared you specifically, or was it mostly like theory? Or like take us through those steps of going through that process of studying for becoming a lawyer. Is it similar, or is it like how you were talking about fatherhood, where like nothing can prepare you for it?
Yeah, and it is similar in the aspect of you're going to have to learn by trial and error. That's all you can do. these books are going to tell you this is the law. This is what it's supposed to be. This is what's going to happen. Wrong. You got to, at the end of the day, convince a jury to believe you. And they could believe your client did or didn't do something. And the book's not going to teach you how to do that.
Right.
The only thing that's going to be able to help you in that is by going to trial, is by asking the questions, is by interviewing people. Just recently, we had a situation where I really believed my client. And you're like, oh, shouldn't you believe all of them? I don't believe all my clients. And I'll even be upfront with them. I'm like, what you're saying doesn't make any sense. But I believed a gentleman, and he had a nice hold, so he's going to be deported no matter what. And he could have very easily pled to the minimum sentence and been deported. But he told me at some point he wanted to become a citizen here. So I said, if you pleaded this, you'll never be able to become a citizen. So we went out and we interviewed the people in the area, and we interviewed other people to corroborate his story, and they were all saying the same thing, which the police never did. The police didn't. They just went to the scene, took one statement, left.
Really?
So there was absolutely no investigation done.
Yeah.
So we had to go do the investigation, and we did that, and we got his case dismissed.
Wow.
Just last month. So it's those kind of things that I'm like, I mean, a book's not going to tell you to go do that. They're just going to say, oh, look at what they gave you and try to attack it.
Right.
Well, that's one way to do it, but you got to do what's going to be in your client's best interest, and you got to figure out a way to solve this case. Sometimes you're not going to get that answer.
Yeah.
And if it bothers you, it's going to bother a jury.
Of course, yeah.
We have people say like, well, why didn't you go take pictures of it? I'm like, it's not my job to go take pictures of it. I'm not supposed to be the one to prove this to you. They are.
Yeah.
But sometimes we have to do that, prove the fact that they didn't do it in some kind of manner.
And as a lawyer, I'm imagining you have to have very, like the sensibility to be able to feel empathy for your client and be able to communicate with your client and have that people skill. Is that like a big factor when it comes to being able to work a case and presenting the case in front of a jury and the judge? And how important is it to have people skills, communication skills? I'm imagining it's a huge factor in your everyday job.
I think it is. I'm not sure everyone agrees with it. I know some people just are an attorney to be an attorney. But I don't believe that. I think it's good to talk to somebody, to understand where they're coming from. If I'm in front of a jury, I've rolled up my sleeves and been like, look, don't judge my client for tattoos. Don't judge someone on their appearance.
Right.
This is a person who is a good guy. He's a father. He's done things in life in the past, and they may try to bring that up, but that doesn't determine who he is.
Right.
Just because I have tattoos doesn't mean you should look at me in a certain way. And I mean, I would hope you don't.
Right.
And that's all I'm asking. In this particular instance, that you just give us the same kind of leniency you would give anybody else, and to look at it with a clean slate.
Nice.
Now, when I first became an attorney, I'd go to the jail and we'd talk to people and they'd be like, well, you're just doing this for a paycheck. And at a certain point, you got to be honest with them and be like, sir, I'm getting paid $300 for your case. Like, I have a lot of money in student loans. It's not gonna that $300 isn't gonna do anything to it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and I'm not trying to be rude, and I'm not trying to be pretentious. I'm trying to help you. I'm only here because I'm trying to help you.
Right.
I could very easily just show up and do something that day and not help you. So sometimes you do have to just be upfront with people because they think they know you. Yeah. Because most of the time I'm in a suit and tie, and I try to be clean cut, but right now I'm blowing my hair out and everything. But
it looks nice.
Well, thank you. And my wife's laughing because I was like, I'm gonna have a ponytail. Might even braid it, and she's like, oh my gosh. I'm like, just let me be me.
And I know you mentioned that you were getting paid $300 for helping some of these people. Can you tell us a little bit about the process when it comes to handling some of these cases? You had mentioned that you believe that regardless of how someone is able to afford someone, that they should still get a high quality service.
Yeah, and completely believe that. If someone is telling me, look, I didn't do this and I want you to fight for it, I don't care whether or not I get paid for it, the amount that normally would pay. I don't care about things of that nature. I just want to do the best I can for them. And I think some of my clients will attest to that, because I have one guy who 1 week is paying out of pocket and we win his case.
Right.
And then we have another guy who's going through the state and I still take it to trial and we win his case.
Right.
And it's like, I could have very easily been like, no, I'm not going to do it. You should plead. They have enough information on you. And I was like, no, don't.
Yeah.
Just wait. Just wait. We'll go to trial and we'll get you there and we'll do everything we need to do. And I mean, I'm a strong believer in that. If for any reason I don't start believing that, I probably would stop taking those kind of cases. But for right now, I mean, that's what I believe in. I would love to one day be able to only do cases pro bono.
Yeah.
I would love for that. I would like to make enough to where I could run a completely free business and let them know, look, I'm taking your case because I believe in you. Or even if you are guilty, I believe you deserve to have good representation and have the best deal possible.
Of course.
Because what sometimes will happen is, well, this guy's paying more, so I'm going to go and I'm going to talk to everybody about it and I'm going to do that. Well, I'm going to do that either way.
Yeah.
We deal with the same attorneys. They know me. I sometimes ask, like, oh, were you retained? No, this is just a court appointed, but he's a young guy. I mean, read the facts. It's not what the charge says. It's not what it sounds like. Just read it, look through it, see what we can do.
And from the outside looking in, when it comes to, I guess like in movies and in media, when it comes to different lawyers, like it feels like there's like a lot of, not necessarily like bad blood, but like everyone seems to be like very professional, very friendly, but like that, you know, they're very competitive. Like being a lawyer, is it like a competitive nature?
It can be.
Is that something that you like about the
I do. I can't even say that I don't. Yes, oh, I'm such a good person because I want to help you. No. At the end of the day, if I win a trial, it's one of the best feelings in the world. I mean, I can't even quantify it. I can't express it enough to let you know, like, I've never felt that before.
Yeah.
And to be like, wow, like, this feels like I'm on cloud 9. Like, I'm just floating. And I would see why I would do cases just for that feeling. I tried not to. I mean, at the end of the day, I am trying to do what's in my client's best interest. And sometimes going to trial is not their best interest.
Yeah.
And
it's better for them to take the plea rate.
Yeah. But even then, I try to always be respectful to, if I'm very upset with somebody who's on the other side and we're upset and we're yelling in the courtroom, we're doing whatever it needs to be done. Once it's done, I can walk over and talk, say, hey, what are you doing later today? I want to go grab drinks. How's your daughter doing? How are your son? I don't try to hold grudges. I don't try to dislike people because at the end of the day, they're doing their job too.
Yeah. Have you seen that movie with Jim Carrey, Liar Liar?
Yes.
Where, you know, they're like, obviously he's like under the spell of like not being able to lie, but he's like, you know, I guess being silly to the other lawyer, and they're like, oh, I'm going to get you, or they're like very like that. So you're not like that at all.
No, I don't feel that. I don't feel like I am.
Nice. And you were saying that it feels really good when you win a trial. Can you tell us about the first time that you won? What was that like? And I know you can't talk about the details, right? But like, I guess tell us the emotions that you felt after you won the case. And you're saying that it's something hard to describe, but like, what can you describe?
I mean, it was a DWI case. I didn't believe my client. I didn't believe they had enough to convict my client. Let's phrase it that way. And the state, I don't really think they had taken a good look at it. So give them the same song and dance. Hey, can you look at this? Before we go to trial, can you look at this? Maybe you'll dismiss it so we don't have to spend our time. And they're like, no, we have to go to trial. That's fine with me. We'll go to trial. So we go to trial. And even then, even if I think I did the best I can do. I think I did better than the other side. I think I proved my point. I think the jury's on my side. Still does not matter. Because when they're reading that and they're standing there, and it's similar to how it is in movies where they're going to read off whether or not someone's guilty or not guilty. And it's just like, it's just a quiet moment. Everyone's just waiting to see what happens.
Right.
And then you get a not guilty. It's just like, nothing else matters at that moment. It's like you feel accomplished. I guess at that moment,
Euphoric.
more than anything, it was euphoric. But I never realized till right now that I guess I finally felt like everything I had put my hard work into had been realized at that moment. And that like I was a legitimate lawyer.
Yeah.
Like I took something to trial. I tried the case. I won the case. Like I'm not a fraud. I'm not just out here saying things. So like, wow.
You felt like you got that check mark of like, this guy's legit. You know, like
and it doesn't go away because even afterwards, it's like
you have to prove yourself every time.
Yeah, I'm still there. I'm
like,
still
do I still
good.
got it?
Yeah.
Nice. And you're relatively new. You're young. You're 31. So you've been doing law for what, like 3-4 years?
I believe so. Honestly, I think it's 4 years at this point. I can't even tell you. It just kind of, sometimes it feels like it's been a long time, and sometimes it feels like I was in law school yesterday. So
when someone asks for your help, what's like the number one thing that you tell them? Like, I guess, like if someone comes and wants your help, what do they need to have in mind so that you can help them the best possible way? Like, do they need to bring something? Do they need to have documents or anything? Like, how should someone prepare when they're wanting to come to talk to you so that you can help their case?
Initially, no. Unless it's a personal injury case, then they just you need to document everything. You need to, if you're hurt, tell everybody you're hurt. If you're in the accident, take pictures, call the police, get a report. Those are normal. If it's a criminal case, I just need you to be honest.
Right.
More than anything, I need you to be honest, because what you tell me, I can't say. But what happens a lot of the time is, no, I didn't do it. Or I don't think it was me. Maybe I was high on drugs. I just don't think that happened. And then I'll get a video and I'm like, is that you?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's me. I'm like, okay. So honesty more than anything in criminal cases. Like, I don't really care what happened.
Yeah.
I just need to know what happened. I need to know from your perspective what happened. And what's harder is if you don't know why something's you're being accused of something, then I need everything. And this is after we talk, everything to prove what you were doing and why this doesn't make sense.
Right. And when it comes to being honest and someone, not withholding any information, the more honest they are, the better you can help them, right?
Yes, definitely. Because if, again, it lets me know, hey, what are we working with? What am I not going to be surprised about or surprised about?
What cards am I using, right?
Yeah, because if someone tells me they didn't do something and then I get that video, then I'm screwed. Yeah. Or if someone tells me like, no, this person will never come forward, or this happened, but they and then I get that information. What are you talking about? But what happens a lot of the time is, I don't even think people are necessarily lying in some cases. It's just what you remember and what actually happened are two different things.
Right.
Because I'll get a video and I've had a situation where a guy's felt threatened for his life. And the video makes you feel like he feels threatened for his life. Now, was he threatened for his life?
Yeah.
No.
No.
And I think objectively, most people would say that. But in the video, he freaks out. And I'm like, no, I believe you. I think you were scared for your life. I just don't think you had a reason to be scared for your life. And they're like, And I'm like, just watch it with me. Let's go through this. And they're like, oh, okay. And I'm like, I just freaked out. And I'm like, yeah. So we remember things differently. We have different inputs on what happened. So it's kind of interesting when that kind of stuff happens.
And I wanted to ask you, you're your own lawyer, but you also work with your wife's family, father-in-law, and how has that experience been being in that environment of working with other lawyers that are also your family?
I I haven't had an issue with it at all. It is weird. It was weird at first, the family dynamic of them being so close. Mm-hmm. So it would be like, oh, I see someone who's like an aunt or an uncle getting in trouble by someone else, and I'm like, and then later on we're all eating together. So I'm like, but they actually, and we all actually keep it business, and this is what we need to do in the case. Even if I'm mad at you, you didn't show up to family dinner and I'm upset with you, but hey, could you cover this for me tomorrow? And,
yeah.
Okay, so it's funny. I mean, they've always been, they're some of the sweetest people I've ever met. Mm-hmm. They were very inviting to me. They let me come into their world and they accepted me. And it's funny because they probably wouldn't. But my father-in-law, well, he may tell you, he's older. He doesn't like tattoos. So I was like, I don't blame you. I mean, like, that's your opinion. Yeah. That's what you like to do. But he's never, even because he doesn't like something, he's never held it against me that I have tattoos. Right. He's always like, no, it's not what I prefer, but you're your own man. You can do whatever you want to do.
And speaking of opinions, I feel like nowadays, it's harder to disagree with someone and just have that conversation and just have like a civil dialogue. I feel like nowadays it's like, I don't believe in that. Don't talk to me. Like, have you seen some sort of like change when it comes to people's opinions differing from each other?
Oh, definitely. I mean, I would imagine you used to be more upfront with people and you could call people out on certain things, but I feel like and nowadays it's like, oh, we have to be careful, we have to be sensitive. But it really doesn't bother me either way, because I don't mind if someone feels like, oh, I don't want someone to be too aggressive. Yeah. I want someone to be understanding to my sensibilities, and I'm like, all right, fine, whatever it is you want to do. Nice. But if you want me to talk to you and just be upfront with, because people will say, just tell me how it is. I'm like, okay, I think you're dumb, and I think you were dumb for doing this, and we got to figure it out.
Yeah. Now that you're here in the Valley, you've been here for how long?
5 or 6 years now.
There's this saying that's called Puro 956. I'm sure you've heard it. Mm-hmm. What does that mean to you? What does that bring to mind when you hear people saying Puro 956?
I mean, I would think it would mean that, like, you very much pull for the Valley, that this is where you're from and you're all about the Valley. Yeah. Like, we have an Olympic swimmer right now from the Valley, and I would talk to my mom about it. She's not from the Valley. I'm like, oh, did you see he's from McAllen? That's very cool. Like, wow. I mean, and I think it's about that, like, respecting where you're from, embracing it, and letting the world know, like, hey, we're here. I didn't know anything about the Valley before I got to know this place, and it's a great place, and letting people experience it and be like, oh, I mean, you have to come down here. Because I see the comments. I like to watch a lot of videos about houses, and we have some beautiful houses in the area. And so I'll read the comments, and I was like, oh, I bet the cartel is knocking your next door neighbor. And I'm like, what? Like, have you ever been here? Like, it's not like that, but everyone has their opinions.
The negative stuff is the ones that make the mainstream news, I guess. And you also have the beach not too far away. I know you grew up in the Panhandle,
where we had nothing.
Yeah.
We had flat land and nothing. We didn't have anything at all.
So what was that like growing up in the Panhandle? You know, for us that are living down here, who might have no idea what it's like living up there, like, what would you, was it, I don't know if you've seen that show, the 70s show, where they would just like hang out and be drinking, or, you know, that's kind of like that's all they would be doing. But what kind of life were you living when you were growing up? Was it like that, where it was just like hanging out all the time?
Yeah, honestly, we didn't have, so where I'm from, there's about 20,000 people. And in high school, we didn't have anywhere to go, so we would just hang out and drink. And when we'd get tired of that, we'd play games. Like, we had a game called Cops and Robbers, and someone would ride around in their car, and we'd be trying to stop the other people who were robbing houses, which they're just running from 1 mile to another mile, and they're just trying to catch them.
And now you're actually doing that in real life?
Now I'm trying to keep them from going to jail. But it was... the Panhandle, it'll grow on you, I guess, an aspect too. Texas is Texas. Like, if you're respectful and you're kind, usually you'll do okay. It is very different culturally in terms of, I mean, it is predominantly white in the area. Sometimes you will get some looks, but even with the looks, a lot of times people aren't going to be outright rude to you.
Right. They're more respectful.
And that's what I've realized a lot of times. I mean, of course, you're going to run into some issues in some areas.
Yeah.
And that's going to happen anywhere. It could happen here.
Yeah.
But in terms of in terms of just culture or just living there, there was nothing. There was absolutely nothing in the area. There were, you can see cows here too, but there were cows. I live next to a cotton field. I mean, it was just regular, everyday life.
And now that you're a lawyer helping out people, is there anything that you like to share? Anything interesting? I know earlier you were talking about some things that you carry with you. I don't know if you're able to speak on that. Just like the nature of being a lawyer and helping out people in these very interesting cases where you're talking about murder and crime and all these type of things. And you were mentioning that people have this connotation about the Valley where it's mostly cartel. Like, is there any type of interesting stories that you could share?
I mean, there's just quite a few, but let's address the last point. It was the cartel and things. I will tell you, 99.9% of my cases have nothing to do with that or that kind of nature or anything. You might meet, you're more likely to meet someone in a gang, but usually they're young kids. But a lot of the people are just either older people doing drugs that they shouldn't be doing, or young people doing things they should, like drinking and driving.
Both sides of the spectrum,
older,
younger.
It's funny. And if you drink and you drive, well, actually, if you have any kind of drinks, you can have a firearm. And what you'll learn about Texas is a lot of people that you may not realize are carrying firearms. And we actually get to keep those firearms if the state wants them to be given up. We can't give them back, so I have to keep them in my possession. And I didn't even care about guns growing up. I mean, there were guns where I'm from because we would hunt, but I never really thought about it. I would consider myself more liberal, so I don't really care about guns. And I say that, and I have quite a few guns.
Nice.
And I go and I hunt, and I'll shoot, and I mean, it's enjoyable for me. It's something to do, but it's not something that consumes my whole life, I guess.
And when you hunt, what type of animals do you hunt?
Primarily, I would like to hunt hogs. Like, I've hunted hogs, but I don't really like to, deer, unless I'm going to actually have someone skin it and give us the meat and eat it, and I actually eat it, I make sure it's eaten. I've done that, and when I was younger, I mean, we would go hunting, and my uncle, we would completely skin it and do everything ourselves, but I just don't think I'm there yet anymore, and honestly, the gamey taste, I don't know if I would even like it anymore. Plus, I think they're just nice creatures, so I'm really not in the business of killing it. For them. But for hogs, they're nuisance, so I don't really care about them.
Yeah, I think it's very popular down here hunting. Like, there's a lot of people that do that, and right here by Kingsville, actually, the King Ranch, and it's a popular place for hunting. Has your family from the Panhandle, Plainview, have they visited the RGV, and what have they thought about it?
They love it. My mom lives in Dallas, and she wants to move here after my youngest brother graduates. And my dad wanted to move here, but one of my younger sisters, she's going to have a baby, and I think they're going to want to someone stay close to her.
Yeah, of course.
But he loves it. And it's because, again, he's from that area.
Yeah.
So we're used to just flat land, no water. So he comes here, he's on the beach.
Yeah.
He's just relaxing.
Yeah.
And so he very much enjoys it.
And one thing that I wanted to ask you, switching gears, I've noticed that Rocio, the marketing director for y'all, has been very consistent with putting out content. Has that been something new for you, like being in front of the camera? Like right now we're in front of this camera, but like, has that, as you were becoming and studying to become a lawyer, did you have that in mind? Like, oh, I'm going to need to like be in front of the camera, selling my services? Like, was that ever in your mind? And how is it now actually creating content on a very consistent basis?
No, I didn't even think about it. I didn't know it was something that in today's world we would have to do. And it's something that we do have to do. But I was like, oh, if I'm a good attorney, that'll get out and that'll be enough. But I don't know if that's enough in today's world because of TikTok or Instagram and wanting to know how someone speaks or, hey, will I relate to this person?
Right.
I don't think I'm shy in front of the camera, but I just wasn't used to how many pictures I'd have to take or how many videos I'd have to take in. But now, I mean, my family laughs at me because, like, okay, let's take a picture. Okay, smile. Okay, you didn't smile. Okay, like, I was never like that before.
So now it's like a totally different
world. It is different. You get used to it, and
nice.
It's fine.
Do you actually like being able to give out tips? Because I've seen a couple of your lives where, I believe it was April 20th, where you guys were doing a live on marijuana use, and you were giving out tips on, like, if you are going to smoke, stay in your house.
Yes.
Don't go out. Like, all these type of, like, inside details about what to do if you're going to do something like that. It has been, like, in my case, interesting because you're actually going into detail and explaining from a professional standpoint what to do, what not to do. Has that been helpful when it comes to, like, meeting a client and like them trusting you more?
I think so. More than anything, I always tell people don't speak to the police. And so we've had some people come in and they're like, I saw you said don't talk to the cops. And I'm like, thank you.
Yeah.
Because everyone thinks they're the smartest person in the world, or everyone thinks, well, just because I didn't do what they're saying, I should tell them, and like, don't talk. Just don't talk to them.
Yeah.
And not to speak bad on the police, it's just they're doing their job as well too.
Yeah.
And they're going to assume we're all lying. So what help are you going to give them? I mean,
and it's their job to collect data, to collect information. So everything they tell you or they ask you is going to go against you, like they say when they arrest you.
Yeah.
Right. And one thing that I wanted to ask was, now that you've been a lawyer for 4 years, where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? What's your ultimate goal when it comes to growing in your profession?
Just winning more cases, trying to see how to make that dream of being completely pro bono a reality. Do I need to branch off into real estate? Do I need to do other things? Which the answer is always yes. Do I need to have other streams of income so I can realize my dream of helping people in this way?
Yeah.
And if I can do that in 5 years, I'd be ecstatic.
Nice. And one interesting thing is that you're not from here. So you're bringing all that experience from the panhandle down here. And I guess it's a different viewpoint. You have kind of like that outsider's viewpoint. What do you think of the Valley in general when it comes to, like, our culture? Sometimes because we're in the thick of it, we need to have, like, an outsider's perspective, if that makes sense. But, like, when it comes to, like, the people from Plainview versus the people from, like, the Valley, what's, like, something that stands out, something that's, like, sets us apart from the rest of Texas?
I don't know if people from the Valley realize, like, how unique they are in terms of just being able to go to a gas station and get legitimately good tacos, or be able to speak Spanish to the person who's doing it, because it's very different. The Tex-Mex up north is very different.
Yeah.
And I would say people here, after you get to know how people act, are nicer, as long as you're respectful to them.
Yeah.
It was a little weird for me here at first because even the way people look at you, you might feel is different. And I don't know if people in the Panhandle stare as much as people do here. And they're like, really? And I'm like, but I don't think it's considered staring. I think it's just,
they find you
we're
interesting.
looking, or hey, and they're like, but in other places they don't do that.
They don't look at you.
They're just like, okay, and then they'll go.
And over here they're like,
and so we're like, are you mad at me, or do you need something? And so there are slight cultural differences here,
nice.
But I think most people can come here and feel like, wow, this is a warm place. This is a forgiving place. This is a place where people try to help you. And I do feel that way.
Yeah.
Even in the courthouse where, hey, like, I see a lot of myself in you, so let's help you out. It is not like that in bigger cities. It's not like that in other areas.
I see.
They are not quick to just even help someone who looks like them.
Yeah.
They're like, no, you did it. Throw away the key,
Yeah.
especially in Texas. I mean, and I think we lose sight of that because we're here and we're like, oh, this place is corrupt. They hate me. I'm like, it's that no one's out to get you here.
Yeah.
A lot of the time, no one is out to get you.
Yeah.
It's in your head.
Yeah.
Maybe you need to leave for a little while and realize, hey, this is a good place.
Yeah.
These are nice people.
The universe doesn't revolve around me.
Yeah.
There's one thing that I'm very curious about with the new technology coming, like AI, and there's been more like videos and media of like people having, like you see people's faces in videos or their image, their likeness, saying something that they really didn't say. Like as a lawyer, where do you see like AI and technology evolving in the next couple of years? And do you think that's going to be a bigger problem as more and more videos are surfacing of people saying things that maybe they did not say, or you might not even know if it's actually them? Like, where do you see, what's your opinion on that matter?
It's going to be interesting to see what happens, because you are right. Even a few years ago, what people were doing was they were doctoring messages from iPhones, where you deleting messages, making it look a certain way, screenshotting it and sending it. And older judges didn't even know that was possible.
Oh, okay.
So it's going to be interesting to see with AI how the judges respond to it and how the law responds to it, because the law is always slow catching up to it. What are going to be the ramifications for someone using someone else's face?
Right.
What's going to happen when someone doctors that image? I mean, it's kind of... some of the things would be kind of easy to see, like, oh, you falsified evidence, you did things you weren't supposed to do. But how are they going to prove it? Are they going to start having tech people coming in, looking at every video? I mean, it is, and I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen with it. I mean, we have the same thing happening with Chat GBT, and some lawyers are saying they use it to write motions to help them out with it, to get the good wording, the better wording and things of that nature. And I'm like, but they still have to overlook it, because they say it sounds a little off. So then you go in and you tweak it and it sounds good. And I'm like,
Wow.
So that kind of thing too, which might make people think, I could do this on my own. I don't need an attorney.
And, when it comes to the times evolving with AI and all that type of stuff, is there any way that you keep up with all these new technologies, all these new trends? Like as a lawyer, do you have to constantly be studying and improving yourself every day? Or what is that process like?
Yeah, we have things yearly that are called CLEs, and it's continuing learning education. And we only need like 15 hours to look over things that have changed in the law and keep up with new law changes. But I don't think it's enough. You have to see, one, what's changed in the law. Two, what's happening with society. What's coming up. What are the new drugs happening? What are the new stances on DWIs? How are the judges feeling about DWIs? And you just got to constantly try to keep in touch with what's going on in society, which is hard. I mean, I have a young daughter, and I don't want to spend all day looking stuff up. I don't want to spend all my free time being like, what's going on? But you do have to spend some time.
So for those that might be watching and listening, as a lawyer, who is best suited to come in and ask for your help? Like if they had several options to go to pick a lawyer, why should people come and speak to Dallas?
For me, one thing is I like to be honest with people. And I know lawyers get a bad rap for being dishonest, and I can only speak for myself. And I'll be honest with you. I'll tell you whether or not you have a good chance and what I think would happen. I've heard from other people that that other attorneys just don't care. They're just trying to get you in the door, sign you up, and they don't care about you. And I'm not trying to be that person. Even if I don't get to respond to you that day or even the next day, I'm trying to have someone reach out to you. I'm trying to answer your questions, and I'm trying to do what it is I can do to make you feel comfortable.
Yeah.
That's all I can do. I can only be my best version of myself to help you and let you know, look, I have your best interests at heart, and I'm doing what I need to do to win this case for you.
Well, let's say something happens. Someone is in a not so great situation and they might need some help, but they might have a question or some concerns. Can it be possible for them to just like give you a call and ask you a few questions, or what's that process like?
Usually that's what a consultation is in general, though. They just call and I talk to them. I give them an overview on what I think is the best situation.
But do you charge for a consultation?
Usually I do.
Okay.
Usually I charge for a consultation. I do believe my social media person runs ads to where sometimes you have to mention it. That, hey, I saw an ad and it was free. And it's free. I just do it a lot of the times to ensure that someone will end up paying later on down the line. Because if you have a problem coming up with a nominal amount, a very small amount, it's going to show me you have problems coming up with something later on.
Right. What about in those special cases where, like, for example, personal injury? Is that different because you have to fight for the client and be able to receive that award, that reward for them, or what's the biggest difference?
Yeah, personal injury, you don't pay for consultations. You never pay for personal injury consultations. We look at it and we try to get the money from the insurance.
Right.
It's always trying to make someone else pay for your injuries, making sure you don't have to pay for anything.
Okay, now let's switch gears here a little bit. Let's say you're out of the office, your client, you won big for your client, you helped them out, and now, you know, you put your tie down, you guys happen just to hang out. What is Dallas like? I know you're into rap and football. Like, if a client were to hang out with you, what would that look like? Where would you guys go?
Right now, it'd probably be something involving my daughter. But if it wasn't doing that, maybe the beach, maybe, I really don't know. It's hard for me right now. I do like to cook. So maybe cooking out, just having a beer outside, watching some kind of game, talking, something of that nature.
Nice. And then lastly, to close the podcast, is there anything that you'd like to say, anything that might be in your chest or in your head that you'd like to share with the audience that, you know, you might just want to get out?
More than anything, it's going to be me reiterating, look, if you get stopped by the police, don't talk to them. That's always my piece of advice for everybody. I can pretty much help you out on if you get sued, if you get into a car accident, I can help you in all different ways on that. But I don't care what people say when you're proven innocent until proven guilty, innocent unless proven guilty. But that's not true. You're going to be fighting for your life. You're going to have that on your record. People are going to be able to see that. So don't make a police officer's job easier. Don't make your life harder by speaking to them. Call me. Call an attorney. Just do that, please.
Call Dallas. But thank you so much for coming to Cuadros' Corner.
Thank you for having me.
And one last question. What do you think of our studio, of Backdoor?
I really like it. I really like it. I'm glad for y'all having me. I think the artwork is really cool. And if y'all need anything in terms of reselling, any kind of clothes, this is the place to be.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time. And
Thank you.
we really appreciate you coming by.
Thank you.